Hey, I'm Nick.
And I'm Makaila.
Welcome to Second Draft Family, a podcast where two millennials talk about raising their blended family while trying not to fuck up their kids in the process. Hey everyone, how sick are you of boomers saying, "Well, back in my day"? Well, let's rip them apart.
Yeah, the problem with boomers.
I mean, kind of, but well, actually, I don't think
Okay,
either of our
actually,
parents
can
are
I say something? And I'm so
boomers.
sorry to cut you off.
Sure,
Can I go on like a quick 30-second rant? I'll try to keep it short.
go ahead.
I don't think boomers are the problem. Like, there are a lot of boomers that I think cause issues, specifically politicians.
Yeah.
However, my beef is with the older Gen X, the ones that barely missed the cutoff for being boomers.
Okay.
Like, fuck those guys.
They're not much better, are they?
No, I think some of the worst people I have ever spoken to are currently in their 50s. I'm not lying. Fuck them. No, but like, I'm
Does
just
that
saying, I
include your dad?
understand it. Boomers are not great, but I feel like we're missing a very critical population that also deserves to have their asses lit up.
Is this including your dad?
Especially my dad. No,
Nah, it's okay. Let him have it. That's kind of what we're talking about today. Although there's going to be less vitriol on my part. Is talking about how our parents operated as parents versus how what we think we've changed since then, versus how we think things might be different for if any of our kids decide to procreate. Or adopt, whatever, or some other third option I can't think of right now. Uh,
they make them in a lab.
yeah, cloning,
Yeah.
parenting through the generations. So I guess we'll start chronologically with our parents.
Yeah, my dad was my primary caretaker because my mom lost custody of me when I was 4. And my dad was given all of the tools for how to be a great parent. And he fucked up in every way, I feel.
When you say he was given all the tools, what do you mean?
So I was in foster care and he received a child who was in therapy and was like off essentially, and what he was told, the only rule this man had to follow was to not let women walk in and out of my life. That was the one fucking thing my social worker told him. Guess how many partners he had?
6.
I don't fucking know. I know at some point he was like getting out of a marriage, and then he had a girlfriend. Literally, don't bring women around Makaila unless you want her getting attached. One ear, out the other.
It shocks me that like your dad found people interested in him, but anyway, go on.
Anyway, but yeah. So I think he liked me until I turned 8. We had rules in our house, which I know a lot of people had these rules, but I feel like it was always taken to an extreme. Like, we weren't allowed in the house all summer, but I feel like the friends that I knew that also had that rule didn't get locked out. Like, they weren't allowed in only to use the bathroom. It was more of like I don't want to see you in the house all day, so like go be somewhere else. I spent most of my time like at the library because like I couldn't go in for anything. Like, unless it was like eating or going to the bathroom, I was not allowed in the house.
Jeez.
Just like getting banned from my two best friends and given no explanation, who are still my two best friends to this day.
They know what they did. No, I'm just
Yeah, no, he would threaten to send me to Vista Maria, which for those of you listening who don't know what that is an area, like, basically it's a home for troubled girls. He would threaten to send me there anytime I talked back, anytime I listened to a song that he didn't think I should be listening to. I didn't even find out until I actually met somebody who went there that you have to be escorted there by the police.
wow.
And he was like going to just send me there for being quote unquote troubled. I never did drugs. I never partied. Like, I was a very quiet child. And I feel like, not to toot my own horn, I was the type of kid a lot of parents want to have, and that was not good enough for him. Like, he wanted a straight A kid who never talked unless she was spoken to, who went to church, who just, he got me as a 4-year-old, and he wanted me to remain a 4-year-old.
Jeez.
But then I also found out that he really just wanted a son, and once he got that son, I think that was probably the point where our relationship, it was like he doesn't care anymore. And he really didn't. Like, he never made an effort after that. It was whatever.
Jeez.
Anyway, we might edit all of this out because I feel like I just went on a giant fucking tangent for no reason.
Nah, Beeb, go off. But like discipline, values, how when he did care.
So it was a belt. It was his hand. I got spanked a lot, and I got spanked until I was almost 17. And these were for like, I think one time I heard a joke in a Harry Potter movie, and I didn't really understand what it meant, and I repeated it to my dad, and he hit me. It wasn't like a don't talk to me like that. It was literally like you are grounded for a week, and I would get hit. As I got older, I would try to like prevent that from happening. And there were quite a few times where like I would get shoved into a door because I was trying to basically hide my ass. I remember that happening and like his wife at the time being like, "You almost knocked over my plants." And I'm like, "Oh, I'm sorry."
Just yelled at you for it.
Yeah.
You were the one getting shoved.
There was a time where I locked myself in the bathroom and he went to get the key. And I never did that again because that made it like 10 times worse. Values, so I actually originally thought my dad was like not a conservative Christian. And this is very stupid of me. He voted for Al Gore when Al Gore ran against George Bush. That was the only Democrat he ever voted for. And, like, it never made sense to me why, but then it was like, oh, then he voted for Trump twice, and I'm like, I got you. So, yeah, we were Baptist. I was not, like, really allowed to do anything that was seen as overly disrespectful. I was very much in the closet, and when I came out of the closet as an adult, he was like, well, yeah, I knew that. And I'm like, that would have been great to know when I was 15 and I tried talking to you about it and you literally made me cry. And those are the shitty things I remember. I am sure, and I can tell you this definitively, I probably had good times with my dad. Like, I can remember us singing sometimes in the car. I can remember when I finally was allowed to start reading Harry Potter when I was in high school, because I was banned from it before that. I got him into Harry Potter. Like, he allowed me to start reading the books, and I actually got him into that. Like, I know we had good times, but they were so few and far between that I feel like everything bad has ruined that relationship. I can't even
Sure.
focus on the positive because it's so overshadowed by everything else. And as an adult, I tried to talk to him about these things because you could ask anybody who would fucking listen to me. I wanted a relationship with my dad more than anything in the world. My dad literally got me from foster care and I was obsessed. Like, I'd never had a dad. Like, I
Right.
was fucking in love with my dad. Like, I wanted a dad more than anything in the world. So much so that, like, I kept trying to repair our relationship up into what, 4 years ago? 3 years ago?
Yeah, something like that.
And I had to just stop because I realized I was the only person who was actually trying to make it work. Anytime I tried to talk to my dad about anything that he did, I didn't even like blame him. It wasn't like you just beat me all the time. I tried to just explain to him that I thought sometimes like you were overly critical. Sometimes you like used physical punishment like and it didn't do anything. It just made me scared of you. Like I tried talking to him about these things and I always got hit with like you just make me sound like the biggest asshole ever. Like, "Oh yeah, you were the perfect kid. You didn't do anything wrong." And it's like, okay, so you don't actually want to repair this. You just want me to forget it ever happened and move on. And it was a similar situation with my mom. And I won't get into all of that either because I didn't reconnect with her until I was 18. But like, my whole life I was constantly compared to her. You're going to get knocked up when you're 16. You're going to be a failure just like your mom. You'll never amount to anything just like your mom. Like, and this was coming from my dad, by the way.
Right.
And so I really tried more with my dad than I did with my mom. When I finally realized what kind of person she was, it was a lot easier for me to walk away. But like my dad, like that just fucking hurts.
I have like hashtag good parents.
You do.
I don't like when I stuttered. I mean, I did get spanked, not nearly as much as you did. I never got shoved into doors, and it stopped when I was around like 9 or 10. And it wasn't a lot, but I definitely did get physical punishment sometimes, which I don't think was uncommon or frowned upon in the early 90s.
No, I think
So
it was more uncommon for a kid not to be spanked. Like my friend, she's never been spanked.
right, and she's a very well-adjusted adult.
Yes.
One of the scariest and most vivid memories I have, and it's one of my youngest memories too. I think it was I had to have been 5 or younger because we moved out of the house when I was 5. My dad was mowing the lawn. I kinda came up behind him and, like, scared him, and he just looked pissed, and he was getting ready to spank me, so I ran out of the fence from the backyard, around the house to the front yard, started pounding on the door. My mom opened the door, and I saw my dad charging around the corner. He was, like, booking it, and I ran past my mom because she was wondering why I was pounding on the door, what was wrong. I ran past my mom and ran into the basement, and my mom managed to calm my dad down enough so that he didn't spank me, and that is only, like, the only really scary memory of my dad I have. I can remember times where, like, we were going camping and my dad would be swearing at the camper because it was being a pain in the ass to, like, line up the pop-up with the ball hinge on the truck or whatever, but nothing, like, scared me as much as that did. But generally, my parents were really good parents, and I think, like, I had enough fear and anxiety, though, of physical punishment that I was generally a good kid, and therefore I didn't get punished, and not to say that, like, I was horribly traumatized or whatever, but, they scared me into compliance, I guess, but I was a good kid. I got, straight A's, and I was on the honor roll. I didn't get in too much trouble. I do think there was too much of an emphasis on there wasn't an emphasis on religion.
Which
My
is
dad
weird because your dad is Catholic, and I feel like you didn't have that pounded into your head.
No. Well, I mean, I they put me in Catholic school until about 3rd or 4th grade where I was getting bullied because kids at Catholic schools tend to be little assholes, and they put me in a public school instead. And I think what helps is my dad, he is involved with his church. He works there. I'm not going to say where or what he does, but he's also very open and has never forced religion on any of us kids because I think we all went to Catholic schools, me and my sisters, but none of us are Catholic now, and he's never expressed a problem with that. My mom left the church, I think, when I was in middle school and kind of explored other churches before just settling on just being a spiritual hippie, which is fine. I do think there were times where they enforced gender roles to an annoying extent. Like, I was the one who had to shovel the snow or mow the lawn or things like that because I was the boy. But, like, my sisters never had to cook or clean, though, now that I think about it. But mom had really bad anxiety and OCD about how things wanted to be cleaned. So I think it was just like she didn't want to have to come behind them and fix it, maybe. But, like, my dad especially was always a great listener. When I was upset about, like, why I couldn't do something, he would sit down and talk with me about it, and it would make sense. And maybe it's because I was a rationally minded kid. He made being a dad seem easy. Like, I wanted to be a dad because I had a good relationship with my dad. And I feel like conversely, our kids aren't easy. And it's like, how did you make this look so easy? But he was also a high school teacher, so he had experience in talking and dealing with kids.
And I think too, you have to remember, like, you come from a traditional family. it was not a blended family, and your siblings and you were spaced out, I think, in a way that really allowed your parents to focus on, like, it wasn't like we have like a fucking gaggle of kids that they're all still in the house. They're all still going to be in the house together for like years to come. Like, I feel like it wasn't exactly like that for you.
No, that's fair. My oldest sister and the middle child are 4 years apart, I think, and me and the middle child are about 3 years apart. So, bigger gaps certainly than what we're dealing with there. But I mean, for the most part, like the worst, I can't, you know, did my parents do everything perfectly? No, there are some things where like they wanted me to get out of the house more and be more active. So they forced me to play football. I don't like football. They should have made me pick an activity or do something. I should have, I think, been given a choice like, hey, you can't just come home and sit on your ass in front of the TV. But, you can do marching band, you can do theater, you can do any of these sports. Like, here's all the fall sports. You need to go do something. It was football, and I didn't have a choice. And to this day, I still hate football. We have two kids who like football, and it kind of fucking sucks because I fucking hate football. And I think I would be much more open to it if I hadn't been coerced into it. I guess that's a good segue into because that's kind of how we've handled it with the kids. It's like, hey, we don't want you to just come home and rot in front of YouTube. You should each year be involved in something.
Yes. And that, like, I think that was something we both agreed on, was that, like, because I wasn't allowed to do a lot of things I wanted to do. My parents were not like, you have to do an activity. They were like, you better not do an activity. Like, you better come home right away. So, like, I did not want that for the kids. I wanted them to be involved. Do something. I don't care what you do. I don't care if it's, fucking D&D club at the library. Like, do something.
Right.
Doesn't have to be a sport. You can't sit at home all day. And like you said, because like you were forced into football, it was like, oh, you don't have to do something just because like we're telling you to do it. Like we're not gonna pick the activity for you.
Right. We can, suggest things or help you, explore some stuff. But
Yeah.
I didn't want to put any of the kids in that position I had been in.
Yeah.
And it's not like football, wasn't good for me in a lot of ways, but I would have, I think, gotten the same thing from like anything else
Yeah.
too.
And I think like Yorkie's coaches will say as much. Like you can get things out of other sports. This is not football specific.
Yeah. But I mean, it sounds like you couldn't be any like more different from your dad's parenting style if you tried.
No, and see, okay, that's the thing though. Like, I feel like I am vastly different than my dad. However, when I do make a mistake, like, I feel like the biggest piece of shit on the planet. I sit with that really hard. And, there are things that I never wanted. First of all, let me be transparent. I never wanted to be a parent because of my parents. I just assumed I would really fucking suck at it. It was not like I have to be a mom because then I can show my dad, like, this is how you parent. Like, I didn't want children. I sort of just had them. I got married really young, and it was like, well, I guess we're supposed to have kids now, so, like, we should do that.
Right.
So we did. But like obviously now, like I've been divorced. I did, like my mom, although hers wasn't temporary, I did temporarily like lose my kids for a period of time. And that again, the entire time hearing my dad's voice in my head, like you're gonna be just like your mom, you're never gonna amount to anything. It's like, okay, so great, he was right. Like, I can be impatient, I get very stressed out, but then, I think about, like, when I do get impatient, when I do get stressed out, if I snap at our kids, I apologize. I do not make them feel like they are an inconvenience. I deal with that stuff later. Like, I never want them to feel the way that I felt around my dad. I don't want them to feel like a burden. I don't want them to feel like they can't come to me. Like, I am, and again, only because my therapist has said so do I feel confident in saying I am extremely more emotionally mature than my dad ever was or ever will be.
But yeah. Yeah,
He
you don't need a therapist, like, that and I think anyone could see that, like, if they had a
and,
5-minute
like,
conversation with him.
I check in with the kids a lot to an annoying degree where they're like, "You don't have to ask me all the time."
Glasses get sick of it.
Yeah, "Why do you care so much?" And I'm like, "Yeah, I'm sorry." And I feel like that's, like, a very millennial mom thing anyway. And then for whatever reason, in ways that we have changed, I just wrote gay.
Sure.
I think it's just because, like, I am very accepting. I am very much like, I am bisexual. If the kids are in the LGBTQ plus community, like, I that is never going to be a reason for me to be like, "I don't like that." Like, I will celebrate that. We go to Pride every year. Like, they are very much involved in other things going on around them, like current events and things like that. I want them to see the world beyond themselves. So I feel like I have done a great job of that because I don't wanna say that my parents were racist, but I feel like at some point, excuse me, if you are, like, saying racist things, maybe the shoe fits. So, like, I'm not. I'm very much like I don't know. I am very woke. I'll just say that. I'm a snowflake, and I'm proud of it.
For you, Veeb. I guess based on your trauma dump from the beginning of the episode, it's really easy for you to say that you're a better parent than your parents, and I would wholeheartedly agree because your parents suck.
Thanks, Beeb.
No problem. I have a harder time in some ways because, like I said, like, and maybe I was more easygoing, but my dad made being a dad seem like almost easy, and it's not. And you know how, and it goes around on TikTok, there's people who say, like, oh, you want living room children and not bedroom children.
Yes.
Me and my sisters were all bedroom children, not because I think we were scared or traumatized or we didn't want to be around anyone, but my dad spent a lot of his free time in his office on the computer. Like, we would go camping and do holidays together, but on an average day-to-day basis, I talked to my dad at dinner, and then he and my mom and would just do their own thing. And my sisters would do their own thing in their room, and I would either go to my room or I'd go in the den and watch TV. And like, we did not all converge in the living room. So we have living room children, and I personally don't see what all the hype is, but they're always around, always talking, and I think I'm more physically present in their lives. Not that my dad wasn't a presence in my life, but, like, okay, they made me play football. I can count on one hand over the course of 6 years how many of my games they went to.
Right.
Not because they didn't like me, just because they didn't like football either. They didn't wanna go watch a football game, but they didn't usually go to my games. They would pick me up after, and it at the time, it didn't bother me. I and I to this day, I don't know if it does. Maybe it does because I felt the need to bring it up. But I know, like, Yorkie will ask all the time, like, "Hey, are you going to my concert? You going to my game?" And it's like, "Yes."
Because if I don't, your mom will let me hear about it later. No, I'm just kidding. Because you want to be there. Like,
Right, like, yeah, no, I'll go. So I think I am more physically present and they appreciate that. On the downside, I am not the most patient person and I get my mom has a lot of anxiety and my mom's a very loving and caring person, but it's very easy for my mom to get worked up. And unfortunately, I think I also got that because I tend to jump to an emotional extreme and that, can sometimes cause issues. And like comparing myself to my dad, I'd be like, man, he didn't do that. But it was probably easier because he got a lot more like alone time to be able to process those things. Whereas I almost feel like I'm in a constant state of overstimulation. So, I don't know. I don't know if I'm doing better. And I guess the point's not to do, do better than your parents, because I love my parents. I would never be like, "Ha, I'm so much better than you." But, I'm doing things differently, and hopefully that's correct.
Yeah, I don't know if it's necessarily like if you have really great parents, then you sort of just really want to like emulate that. I would assume. I wouldn't know. But I feel like for you, like you have life is not a bubble. Like you are neurodivergent. You are not going to process the world the same way that your parents did. So are you going to be exactly like them? No. You're going to make mistakes. You're going to make different mistakes. You're not going to get everything right all of the time. I have always maintained from like the moment that we started like being a family that like the most important thing is that you show up and you try. Like you are not a passive parent. You are not someone who does not care. Like, even if Tuna tells you, like, I don't want to talk about it, you still make the effort. You
Yeah.
always let the kids know that, like, you're here. You go to all of their activities when you can. Like, hell, there's been times where, like, you've used your lunch break to go be a room parent at Poopsie's school. Like, I think you are a better dad than you give yourself credit for, if I can just say that as your wife.
Oh, well, thank you. I appreciate that.
Like, I feel like it's important for you to know that because it's like, yes, you may not see yourself like in the same pedestal tier as your dad, but like you are still a good dad.
Well, thank you. I appreciate that. That actually does mean a lot to me. And I guess, our we 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 can't make it look too awful, because 2 out of the 4 kids have expressed that, like, they would like to be parents someday. And like, Poopsie and Tuna have both said that.
Yes.
Glasses is 13, but is currently of the mind, like, "Nope, never gonna happen." But, like, not Poopsie, Glasses is very much a lone wolf anyway. I think Glasses could go live in a cave as a hermit and be fine if they had internet access. I don't think Glasses likes being around people all that much anyway.
I think Glasses has two goals in life: be gay and do crime. No,
I don't think Yorkie has said whether they want kids or not.
I think that they are both very much not of a mind to say that they want children. They've both expressed that that is not something that they want to do, and I fully support that.
Sure.
I know Poopsie will say like that they want to be the type of parent that like I am, and like that means a lot to me. Like I don't think I would have ever told my dad like when I grow up, I hope I'm just like you.
See, I think, like, Tuna has said they want kids, but I worry that they're gonna, like, spite raise them opposite of us, because they're so, like,
I
Tuna has found Jesus, and I think wants to
was gonna
wants to
say,
raise
yeah,
a
can I be
church
candid
choir.
there? Like
Sure.
I don't think that Tuna and their desire to be a parent has anything to do with anything you could have done wrong as a dad. I think you two have very different values and very different beliefs on what a parent should be. So I could agree that like yes, they might have kids to like spite parent, but I don't want you to see that as like a well, I guess I screwed up as a dad.
Yeah, I suppose
Because
so.
in a way, you could argue that I spite parent.
Yeah, but you're trying to raise, like, progressive, educated children.
But I will say, I want I only want the kids to have kids of their own if they genuinely want to. I will never put the pressure on of like, so when are you having kids? I
Right.
never want that to be something that like if they have children of their own, I want that to be because they genuinely want to be parents, not because they feel like they have to, not because they just feel like it's what adults should do. But if they do have kids, the biggest thing I think I take away from like my kids being little, like I want them to know that like we are here to help them. Like they will never be on their own. Obviously save for us being like dead. But like
Sure.
you know, like then I guess we kind of egg on our face. But like we will be there to help them because I feel like that was something like I never really had. Like I didn't have a village.
Right.
So, I don't know. And like for what I hope they do differently. Like, yeah, I don't know. Maybe that I hope that they don't have kids unless they want them. Like genuinely want.
Yeah. I would just hope that not that either of us were teen parents by any means, but we were young. Hopefully they
I was a pregnant teenager. No, because I was 19.
Oh, okay, fair enough. You're still an adult. I just hope they wait longer than we did, before doing that.
Absolutely. Well, I don't know if you've heard Poopsie talk about their plans to have children. They have said explicitly that there will be no children before they are 35 and established in their career. So I'm like, yes.
Right.
Like clock it.
Poopsie's gonna get $1 million and then adopt like 30 kids if you want to listen to what they say.
Poopsie just becomes Angelina Jolie. Or the male equivalent.
Yeah, you know what? That'd be fine, I suppose. Yeah, I worry that Tuna's gonna decide to raise an entire like church choir and read the freaking Bible to him every night.
You know what though? We'll just become Mima from Young Sheldon. That'll be our
You know
lot in
what?
life.
We can be the cool grandparents.
Yeah.
Gonna tell you radical story about other religions.
Have you heard about this thing called universal health care?
Do you know what a Buddhist is, grandchild?
Yeah, and then I'll be like, you can't go over there anymore. No. Anyway,
All right. Well, that's probably a good place to call it for this
good place
week.
to call it. We took it too far. Probably could have called it a few minutes ago.
It's fine. You had to trauma dump. It's fine. Next week, we touched on this a little bit this week. Next episode, we're going to talk about sports and juggling all of this because all these damn kids want to play sports.
Yes, the time is upon us. Our kids haven't really done winter sports, so we kind of get a little reprieve from, November through March, but it's here. Okay.
Oh no. All right. Well, join us next week.
Bye. Well, that was something. If you liked what you heard, please tell your friends and follow our social media. We're at Second Draft Family on TikTok, Insta, and Facebook, and at Second Draft Fam Pod on Blue Sky. See you next time. Bye.